Starting off with a message from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, and joining us this morning in studio to share some Christmas fire safety tips is no stranger to the Now Morning Show, Jude Rogers, Fire Prevention Officer of the TTFS. Good morning, Jude, and welcome.
Good morning to you and your lovely listeners.
And welcome back, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, it's Christmas. One of the things we were just discussing very briefly, you were sharing, is that we're still seeing fires, of course, taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. So this is a needed conversation.
Yes.
But have you seen an increase during this season in fires, particularly over the years?
Okay, so normally, yes, looking at the statistics over the years, we have seen an uptick, as we would say, in residential fires. Hence the reason why we're here this morning, to bring that awareness to our viewers and our listeners, that you need to pay special attention during the Christmas and the New Year period, because we have a lot of activities that sort of makes it a little bit more risky for us to, at this point in time. We have cooking, we have a lot of renovations taking place, and of course, coming up at the end of the year, a lot of fireworks. So we want to look at all of those things.
Definitely. And in the spirit of giving this morning, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service is going to be joining us in giving you something special. We have a giveaway. So 622-4010, give us a call and you could be a winner. But make sure that you follow the conversation. So let's just start with the basics. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of preparedness in the home for Christmas and fire?
So definitely for the Christmas period, we want persons to do what is considered to be a fire risk assessment of your property.
Okay.
Let's look at all of the things in your property that can be a source of ignition. What can start a fire, literally. And so we look at, first and foremost, our electrical wiring and how we're setting up our Christmas lights and your Christmas tree. And you know, that's a very sore point, because it's a possibility there that if you overload a circuit, meaning that you put more than 3 strings of lights on one circuit, you run the potential of causing a fire due to that overloading of that circuit.
So as you mentioned that, what about, using adapters? People have like these strip extension cords, those sort of things. Yeah. Would they help mitigate any possible risk or no?
So what we advise where this is concerned, not every extension cord and not every strip that you use to add multiple plugs, which we advise against. We call that multi-tapping. We saying that you should actually use one that is UL listed, or one that carries the CE listing on it, meaning that they've gone through some sort of rigorous testing and it's approved by a body that is able to approve them. So UL Underwriters Laboratory is what we recommend, or the European brand, which has a CE stamp on it. Those normally stand the test, but really what you want is a line conditioner, an extension that is able to regulate the current and dissipate any overcharge or step up on undercharge. And those you would only going to get at a reputable company, such as a reputable safety company or an electrical company as well.
Okay, I had to be honest, for there, but you were speaking Greek to me when you said line conditioner, because I have absolutely no idea what that is.
So it's an extension cord, just all it does is add more extension plugs to you.
Okay.
What you want is a regulator which has an adapter in it that is able to transform and to step up the electricity, but also it can dissipate any overcharge, which will cause a buildup of heat and a breakdown of the wiring in a normal extension cord.
Okay, understood. Now, one of the things that you would have also mentioned is the fact that 3 is the cutoff point of how many lights we should stack onto one another. But what about if we put more than 3 into this line conditioner?
So again, that is normally what we see happening in Trinidad and Tobago around this time. Persons put in excess of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what that does, in essence, we call that daisy chaining. And what it does in particular, somewhere along that line, as you continue extending that line is not meant to carry that electrical charge all the way to the distances that we want to carry. And any electrician or any certified electrician out there knows that there's going to be a resistance upon any weak point in that line. That's where you're going to have your fire starting.
Okay, during the Christmas season, what would you say in your experience is the #1 cause of fires?
Oh, definitely errors and omissions by human beings.
Okay.
We have ourselves, by our own negligence, by our own errors of omission, we've caused fires to happen. You have to understand that there's a period where we are very, very happy, joyous, and there's the use of alcohol. There's also the lack of sleep. So today, one of the main things that we're talking about is having a smoke detector. Give yourself a fighting chance by having something to aid you we're all busy. We're all working very, very hard. And in our homes, sometimes we tend to focus on all other stuff. I know the ladies will hear me out on this with the curtains and all the lovely carpet and everything that we want to add. But what about a smoke detector in every bedroom, in your living room, and even a heat detector in the kitchen? It's going to wake you up in the dead of night when you need to hear that alarm the most and give you that fighting chance.
You know, it's interesting as you mention that, because the first thing I think about with the kitchen, and I know a lot of people can also agree with me here on this, is that when you have that smoke detector up and you're cooking, and 9 out of 10 times it's going to go off.
Agreed.
So then, regardless of how inconvenient it may be for us, we need to overlook it. That is what you're saying.
No, I'm recommending a heat detector. So just as how we have smoke detectors, we also have heat detectors. Now, a heat detector is going to pick up a particular heat signature. When it crosses that threshold, the heat detector will sound off just as a smoke detector would. So you imagine you can cook, you can do all of the baking, you can even burn the black cake as some people would do, and you're still not going to cause that to go off unless there's an actual fire in your kitchen. And so I must make mention of the fact that we have a stakeholder or a sponsor who has come on board in the form of Interchem Limited, and they're located out there in Barrett area, and they've been a stakeholder with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, and other stakeholders, other safety companies have been supporting, and they're the ones that have donated these smoke detectors that you see here today. And I just want to give a little tip to you. If you're going to locate your smoke detectors, you definitely want to put them in the bedrooms, in your corridors. Do not place a smoke detector in the kitchen.
Okay, there we go. See, that makes sense. Don't place one in the kitchen. You can win one of these, 622-4010. Give us a call. You can win these smoke detectors that are sponsored by Interchem Limited. So what else can we do to ensure that we are as safe as possible and aware as possible during the Christmas season? I mean, this is a time, as you mentioned, there's going to be lack of sleep, there's going to be noxious substances, and a lot of children everywhere as well. So how do we as a unit come together?
All right, so as a unit, one of the things I like to tell families to do, let's all be part of the safety frame, what we want to achieve. So what you want to do is to look at the different areas. Your kitchen is one of your challenging areas when it comes to the Christmas period and Christmas cooking and all of that. So let's look at, first of all, the source of fuel, which is your gas tank.
Right.
A lot of people around this time, we're switching out gas because you're cooking a lot. Pay attention to the gas that you're buying. Please look under the tank. Nobody looks under the tank. We all look at the top of the tank. Some of the tanks have rusted at the bottom, and we have experienced trouble calls where there is gas escaping from the bottom of the tank. These are things that we don't look at. We would look for the pretty beautiful red tank, newly painted, but is it safe? And we look at those are the things. Also, the hose lines that you have running, you should change that out every 5 years. It becomes brittle, it may be broken, and gas can escape. And of course, the regulator is something we should always check. Make sure that the lugs are in place, and that little secure, the little ball, the little metal ball that ensures that the tank locks onto the head of the gas. You want to make sure that's in place.
We need to get back to this conversation, but we have a caller on the line. Tunapuna, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'll be better when I answer this question.
Awesome. Well, Jude.
All right, so caller from Tunapuna, Pleasant, good morning. And I want to ask you, where should we locate smoke detectors in our homes?
Basically, one would suggest to put it in the bedroom, not much in the kitchen. That's one of the talk that I heard this morning, and it's quite vital. Thank you so much.
You have definitely a winner, Tunapuna.
Congratulations, Tunapuna. Stay on the line and we'll take your information off the air.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
That was great.
Now, let's go back to, as you were speaking about the kitchen specifically, because something that also came to my mind is, when you have a gas stove and it's a little bit older, the burners, sometimes you will see the flames, regardless of what setting you may choose, the flames start to get a lot bigger. Is that something we should be aware of as a fire hazard as well?
Oh, definitely. All of those things speak to maintenance.
Right.
Everything in our home around the Christmas period, we want to clean up. We want to make sure it's maintained. But if you're going to clean the stove, make sure that you have someone who is certified to do so, especially if your stove is giving a bit of trouble and you want to bring in a serviceman. Make sure that they do it and that they clean those burners and they clean the point where the gas comes through. There's a little pinhole that has to be cleaned if you want to have a clean burn and for the fuel to come out and burn in the right manner. Once it's burning pretty yellow, you know that is an issue. You have oil probably at the base of the stove, at the base of the burner. You want to clean that up, get that the grease properly so you get a nice blue flame coming out there.
Okay, so we've spoken about the kitchen. We've spoken about, of course, the continuous issue of lights that we all tend to discuss. What else would you say is important when it comes to this season?
One of the things that I've noticed is that we do a lot of renovations around this time and persons may block their exits.
Yeah.
Now, it's so important to have two ways in and out of your building. Let's think about evacuating. If a fire does occur and we do have to escape our home, we cannot have our exits blocked. We need to ensure that they're available, and that even if we're doing renovations, especially if it's welding, and we've had a couple calls where persons have actually been doing welding indoor or overhead in the roof, and the hot slags that fall would have come into contact with cushions, different sort of combustible material. That ensued and would have caused fires, and persons actually lost their entire home around Christmas. That is not something we want to have happen.
Definitely not. I mean, definitely something to think about there. Now, what about also something with, like, let's say, again, as you said, during the Christmas season, we see a lot of renovations.
Yes.
We see a lot of clearing taking place as well. How necessary is it, you would say, to ensure that all the, let's say, overgrown bushes and that sort of thing are also removed from your property, especially around like light poles and that sort of thing?
Well, this period here that we're heading into, interestingly enough, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, from the 1st of December, we would have stepped into what we consider the bushfire season. That goes all the way up to June the 30th of 2025. So the rains that we've been seeing happening is going to subside, and we're going to go into that dry spell that is coming, and so during that period, of course, housekeeping around your property, getting the vegetation out of the guttering, getting the vegetation from very close to your walls and etc. Your perimeter walls is also important. So we recommend that you cut a fire trace around your property. Try and clean around it. If you have neighbors, encourage them to do the same. And that in itself is also going to protect you as we head into the dry season coming up. But I just want to mention fireworks before we wrap up. And I know we still have a smoke detector to give away.
622-4010, give us a call.
Right? Fireworks is legal in Trinidad and Tobago, but it's only legal if you use it in the correct manner.
Right.
We have a lot of persons who purchase fireworks, and they head to the New Year season, and they use it as, I would say, even such as a weapon. They may even use it in a playful manner, but they use it inaccurately. And in an essence, they're creating danger for other persons. Please, if you're going to discharge fireworks, you need to find an open savanna, an area that is 60 feet away from the center of any roadway. That's something that people don't know. You should not go into the middle of the road and burst a firework. You need to get to your local savanna, your local open space. Definitely do not point a firework at any other person. And of course, do not put it in a glass jar. And if you're going to set a firework, please make sure that it's secured and not facing sideways. Follow the label instructions.
You know, something that you've just mentioned there, I mean, immediately all of us, we know in Trinidad and Tobago, this is not something that is followed. We see it on All Year's Night, specifically, fireworks are coming from every single house in a residential area. How does the fire service deal with this?
Okay, so what happens, there are laws that govern these things. Persons have to make the necessary calls. The police also, because it's a Summary Offences Act, can get involved, but you must make that trouble report. The challenge is so many persons doing it at the same time. So what I'm trying to do, or what we are trying to do in the fire service, is just bring about the awareness, and we ask persons to work with us. Of course, you're not allowed to discharge of fireworks within 2 miles of a city limit. So therefore, all the persons in Port of Spain, in Arima, in San Fernando, you have to do that out in the outskirts of your city limits.
Yeah, it's very important, because one of the things we would have seen again happen over the years is houses that would have been hit by fireworks.
That's right.
And they would have burned to the ground as well.
Definitely.
622-4010, give us a call and you can win a smoke detector. We have Faizabad on the line. Faizabad, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Faizabad. Are you ready to win?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Jude?
Good morning, Faizabad. We need to light a little fire this morning when you get you a little excited about winning a smoke detector, So I'm going to ask you a very easy question as well. How many ways should we have to exit out of our property? How many exits should we have in our home?
How many exits?
How many exits?
At least, well, 3.
I've taken 3. You're above the threshold, but we need to have at least 2. So, Faizabad, you are a winner this morning, if I may say so. I'm glad to have the Southland on our show this morning.
Congratulations, Faizabad. Stay on the line. We'll take your information.
Thank you very much, Natasha.
Our pleasure.
That's nice.
So 2 great winners, and this is something I have to say thank you as well, because it was a smoke detector I've been able to install mine,
Oh, you're
and
most
it's made a
welcome.
great difference. And well, thank God it hasn't gone off, but it definitely has given that sense of safety, which is something I think we don't necessarily focus on as well, which is a sense of safety we feel when we know that we are protected and that we've also been able to take those actionable steps.
Yes.
Any closing comments or recommendations for those who are, of course, concerned and would like to protect themselves in the best way possible?
Definitely, Natasha. We need to, as we do our risk assessment closing off the Christmas period heading into the year 2025, let's check off our checklist of things to do installing smoke detectors and fire extinguishers in our home. You've done the process and you feel more secured. Think about if we can get every other citizen in Trinidad and Tobago on board, and we can achieve the goal that the fire service have of eradicating death by fires in Trinidad and Tobago by 2025.
It will definitely be a blessing, that is for sure. Well, Jude, thank you so much for joining us again. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hoping that you have an excellent Christmas. And not too busy, to say the least, as well. Jude Rogers with us this morning, Fire Prevention Officer at the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, sharing with us some tips when it comes to Christmas and fires. Stay tuned. The Now Morning Show has more coming up after the break.
In the holiday period, here are some safety tips when using fireworks. Always purchase fireworks from an approved, reliable source. Follow labeled instructions and use common sense. Always have close adult supervision. Never give fireworks to small children. Never point or throw fireworks at another person. Ignited fireworks must never be held in hand. Use outdoor only in a clear area away from buildings, vehicles, shrubbery, and have water handy. Never carry fireworks in your pocket, nor shoot them in metal or glass containers. Light only one firework at a time. Wear eye protection and never have any portion of your body over the firework. Don't experiment with homemade firework and never attempt to relight a firework. Remember, fire safety begins with you.